Okay, today we're going to be looking at percentages, percents. What do we do with percents? Well, you got to remember with percents are always going to be a ratio of a part of something compared to the whole amount. That will give us our percentage of something. Okay? And we generally do that over compared to 100. Percents are always a part of 100. Okay. We can do these things in words as well. So like you're looking at our first example here, it says 30 is what percent of 56? Remember, when we're translating math problems, the word is our equal sign, and then of is our multiplying sign, multiplication sign. So we can set these things up as an equation. So it'll be something like 30 equals what percent, that's an X, of 56. In this case, to solve for X, we would divide both sides by 56. Dividing both sides by 56, we find that X is equal to, and we get a handy dandy calculator there, and we do 30 divided by 56, and that would be 0.5357. Wonderful. But we need this as a percentage. This gives us the decimal format of it. In order to make this a percentage, we're going to move our decimal 2 places to the right, or basically multiply by 100. So we would say that it is 53 and 57/100%. We can do these same things, not only just setting them up as equations, we can also set them up as proportions like what we have written here. So keeping that in mind, I go through and set it up where I have my part goes on top, the whole amount on the bottom, my percentage on top, and then 100 always goes here. So looking at this one, it says 46 is what percent of 80? So 46 would be our part, the partial amount, so 46 goes here. 80 is the whole amount, everything that we have, because it's the object of our proposition. And then it says percent, my percent, I do not know my percentage. At this point, I can now set up my equation and solve my proportion. So I'm going to have X times 100 times 80 is equal to 46 times 100. Then we would divide both sides by 80. And at this point, we would get our handy dandy calculator out. And in this case, because we already have the 100 in here, it will give us our percentage without having to move our decimal. So I would do 46 times 100 divided by 80 and see that it is 57 5/10, or 57.5%. Set them up either as an equation or as a proportion to do the same types of things. So moving along, looking at another example here. Here we have different parts and pieces that are missing. This time I am given a percentage. My percentage is right here. So when I set this up, setting it up as a proportion, my percent always goes on top of the 100, so I'm going to put 70 over here. Here it says, of what number? That's the object of my preposition. That is my whole amount. That's the thing that I'm looking for. So that's my X here. So my 56 would go here on top. So to do this one, I'm going to have 100 times 56 is equal to 70 times x. We would divide both sides by 70. Get your handy dandy calculator out, and we would do 100 times 56 divided by 70, and we see that it is 80. So the number that is missing in this case is 80. Looking at our fourth example, and our fourth example is a similar type thing, still set up and start the same way. Every time I see a problem like this, I think about it. Oh, I need to get my proportions set up. My percentage here goes on top of 100. So I'm going to put 45 right here. Here it says, of what number? That is the object of my preposition. That's the whole amount that I have. So I'm going to put 270 here on the bottom. So the missing piece this time, I'll call M, is my part. What partial part am I missing? So I do my multiplying. Multiply these two. 45 times 270 is equal to 100M. Divide both sides by 100. At this point, I've got it set up so I can grab my handy dandy calculator and do 45 times 270 and divide it by 100. And I see that it is 121.5 or 5/10. And we can do a lot more with percentages. They're not just all going to be straight little problems like this. We're going to have to sometimes stop and think, what have I given? And interpret language a little more. But we can also take and figure out how much does something increase or decrease as we move along and think about things. What is our percent increase? What is our percent decrease? So first thing we need to determine, did it get bigger? Did it get smaller? To look at this, first thing I'll do, my original amount right here is $50. That's what I started with. It has now changed to my new amount, which is 70. So this one here is an increase. This would be an increase. Things got larger. It increased over time. But sometimes things decrease, such as in depreciation and things like that. When you go and buy things, they don't always stay their value or gain value. They lose value. So I look at this one, and my original amount is here, and my new amount here. So I'm looking at 200, and I'm now at 172. This one would be a decrease. It doesn't matter if you're doing an increase or a decrease. They both are going to have the same initial thing. We always start with, to find my percent of change, that is equal to the difference in change divided by the original amount. And we take that and we multiply that by 100. So looking at example number 5 right here, to find my percent of change, this one here, I'm going to take and do 70 minus 50, and I'm going to divide it by the original amount, which is 50, and multiply that by 100. So before I put it in my calculator, let's go ahead and simplify the subtraction part on the top. 70 minus 50 is 20 over 50 times 100. And once you get to right here, you can put this in your handy dandy calculator. The previous part you could put in if you use something like Desmos or one of the other calculators that actually separates the fractions. But with this one, I'm going to do 20 divided by 50 and then multiply by 100. And I see my percent of change would be 40%. So this one had an increase of 40%. An increase of 40%. Much like the price of eggs right now. Now looking at our second example over here, this one was a decrease, but the process is still the same. So to find my percent of change for this one, my percent of change, for this one I'm going to do 200 minus 172 divided by 200. Just remember, you always go back to the original amount. That is our whole amount we start with. That goes on the bottom, times 100. Let's go ahead and do my subtraction. My subtraction, 200 minus 172 gives me 28 over 200. Then do that times 100. We punch that in our handy dandy calculators. 28 divided by 200 times 100. And I see that it is a 14% decrease. This one decreased by 14%. Okay? These are handy things to know because, like, if you're going and looking at sales and it says, hey, it's 30% off, I can use things like that to go and figure out, oh, what is my new price going to be? So like right here, the final price of each item. We need to figure out what's going to happen. Oh, so number 7, my percent this time is my sales tax. Just because it says the CD player costs $149, well, it's not going to be $149 out of our pocket. We have to pay a portion of that in taxes. In this case, it's 8%. To do these, I'm trying to find my final price. So I need to first figure out how much is my tax. To find my tax, that is going to be equal to the price times the tax rate. So my taxes are going to be, the price in this case is $149. My tax rate, now when we do percentages, we can't leave them as a percent like this. I need to convert this into a decimal. I can either move my decimal 2 places to the left or divide it by 100. Either way, it's going to tell you that it's 0.08. So I'm going to multiply 149 times 0.08. And when I multiply those together, I see that I have to pay for taxes $8, no, not $8, $11.92. But I'm trying to find, what is my final price? To find my final price, I have to add the original price plus my tax, and that will give me my final price. Well, the original price was $149. That was my CD player. And then my sales tax, I calculated that and found that it is $11.92. Remember, when we're adding, it's always best to take and line up our decimals. So this is $149.00 here. Now it's just a matter of adding straight down. So I have 2, 9, and this right here is 160. So I have $160.92. That's how much I'm paying for my CD player, which apparently we are still stuck in the 1990s if we're buying CD players. So sometimes we have to do more than just go through and find taxes. We also get a discount. Discounts are a good thing because we're saving some money. So if we're doing a discount, that means we're going to be taking and subtracting this percentage here away from what we started with. So I have to first go and find 10% of my $89.99. So how much is my discount? Well, to find my discount, I'm going to take and do $89.99, and multiply that by 0.1, because remember I have to change this thing into a decimal, 0.1. So I'm going to see that I get 8.999 as my discount. Well, I can't have 8.999, so I round that to the penny and I see that it is, $9. So I'm going to take $9 away. So I subtract my discount. So to find my sell price, I start with the original price, then I subtract the discount. So my sell price, what we call SP, take the original price, which is $89.99. My discount is $9. So I see that it is $80.99. Now I have to find my tax. In order to find my tax, I got to go and find $80.99 times 0.06, and we multiply that out. Punch this into my handy dandy calculator, and I see that it is 4.8594. But again, we're dealing with money. I round this to the nearest penny, which would be $4.86. So my final price is going to be $80.99, because that's my discounted price. I got to add my tax back into it. My tax is $4.86. I add those together to see how much am I going to have to pay. And my final cost will be $85.85 after my 10% discount. Percentages. They are in everything that we do every day. We have sales tax, we have discounts, we have appreciation, we have depreciation. Percentages are used everywhere. They're a good thing to know.